gosh, look at the mess I created back there. It's a little crazy, just a little crazy. Shalom everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's S and I'm taking you on my conversion journey. I know we're in a weird space right now. We are in my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making challah for the first time. It's a wonderful mitzvah for women and I've been lacking in trying to get myself to make this in the kitchen. Fun fact, I love to cook and I never made bread before. So I thought this would be a fun video to make and to document me messing this whole entire thing up. I am a black girl who loves braids, but I cannot braid challah for my life. I've honestly never really tried it. So if you guys want to follow along, I'm following two of my favorite Jewish YouTubers, From It Up and Jamie Geller. I've been watching their videos for quite some time and it has helped me expand my cooking in so many ways. Fundamental foods that Jewish people eat during the holidays. These two channels have really helped me grow. So I'm not gonna drop the recipe because there's recipes from both of them. So I'm just going to go with what I remember and some of the things I already have in my kitchen. So let's have some fun. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel, check down below to make sure you're subscribed and let's make some challah. All right, guys, let's get this show on the road. Before I begin, I just need to state the fact that this is my first time ever making challah, and I will snitch on myself right now and let you guys know that I messed up a lot. And I messed up a lot, just know that. One thing I've learned from making challah is that you really have to take your time and know that for your first time, you aren't going to have it all figured out. It's going to be a mess. The kitchen got very messy, and it was also a little frustrating. I did end up using this challah for Shabbat, even though it tasted okay, but we are here to learn. I'm teaching you guys all that I've learned on this journey, and making challah is very intimidating, but it can be done. So don't be scared, do it, and make it happen. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, I guess, having my yeast rise. I forgot what it's called. If anyone knows what it's called, just comment down below. So I put some water, with some warm water, that is, with some sugar, and mixed it all up. And then I added my yeast. This part, I was a bit too quick to assume that I knew what I was doing. I just thought I could put it in water and that was that. But apparently you had to wait quite some time for it. So I poured the water, poured the sugar, and added my yeast. And I didn't really pay attention to what the packet said. I just used one packet of it and just kind of mixed it all up and set it to the side. So now we're gonna get into our flour and start making our dough. I was going to use a stand mixer, but things just got a little too crazy and my kitchen got way too hot. So I decided to just mix it all by hand, and you'll see what I mean in just a little bit. So I'm going to measure out my flour. I had a few cups. I think I had about 4 cups of flour, but I ran into an incident where I didn't have enough all-purpose flour. So I had to go in my cabinet and see what was left. I had some flour that was whole wheat. So I just ended up mixing both of them together. And it was just, like I said, this whole purpose was to just teach myself how to make challah. I wasn't too concerned with how good it tasted. I knew it wasn't going to taste the greatest, but hey, at least I know how to do it now. So I sifted the flour, made it nice and fluffy. This process kind of took a long time. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this. I'm sure there is. If anybody knows how to make this easier, please email me. So then I added some salt, some sugar. Then I went and mixed everything up
and I added 2 eggs. I left them at room temperature because this is baking, and most of the time when I bake, I always keep my eggs at room temperature. Just makes things better. So I don't know if that's the same for bread. I guess we'll experiment as time goes on. But I ended up mixing all my dry ingredients together and then adding my 2 eggs and some oil. I used some olive oil because that is what I had. I don't know if anybody else has another recipe, but oh well. So as you can see, I kind of was impatient with the way my yeast was rising. I didn't understand why it was still very liquidy, so I got impatient and I decided to pour the whole packet in there as a dry ingredient. I knew this was kind of the right or wrong thing. I was kind of 50-50 because I looked at the packet and it said that I could do that. So I was like, let me just see. But I mixed it all in there, and then I finally added my eggs and my oil afterwards.
Sorry, there's flour everywhere. I'm like 2 minutes into cooking this challah and my yeast isn't even foaming. This is more difficult than I thought.
So as you can see, I am struggling with this whisk. I don't know why I used a whisk. Wasn't the smartest choice. So I decided to just let go of the whisk and just grab my hands and just kind of get in there. It just made more sense to do that. And the stand mixer wouldn't have, it's not strong enough, at least not mine, to handle this type of dough. I definitely need to purchase a better stand mixer if I'm going to be making challah on my own. So I went in there, mixed it all up, and I realized it was very dry. So because it wasn't getting the moisture of the yeast that was rising, I decided to just put some more warm water in there. Wasn't too sure if this was the right or wrong thing to do. It seemed right. It got it moist enough to make it into a dough. So it was getting a little crazy. It was all over my hands. It was everywhere, but I had to add that water in there and just keep mixing.
So when I first started my journey, I had no idea about challah. It wasn't something I ate. My family wasn't such big bread eaters or pasta eaters. I think that's the only time I really ever had bread. Eating bread every week was a bit of a chore to me, and now that I've been doing it, I became fascinated with challah, and it's such a light, flaky, delicious bread with so much meaning, especially on the Shabbat table. I was buying my challah from the stores and I wasn't accustomed to separating my challah. Now that I'm coming towards the end of my journey, I realize I gotta get on it because I would love to save money in the home and make this bread myself and also add to the kibud and oneg of Shabbat. And I think this is a great thing for me to really master because it's probably going to take some time. This video is not to showcase how wonderful of a cook I am. I think I'm decent and I'm still growing, but I do think this goes to show how being the woman in the home, you do have some responsibilities to get in that kitchen and make that challah. It's a great, wonderful mitzvah to add on my journey and to master.
So after about kneading for, I don't know, this was probably like 10 minutes of that, this is the result. I realized that it was coming together. I know it looks a little crazy, but it was coming together, and I wasn't losing hope anymore. I was like, okay, my first little baby challah is coming together, and I just have to keep doing this and keep believing. And that's what I kept on doing. So after all that kneading, this is my result. And I was pretty pleased. Look at that, guys. Esther did it. I was able to make some dough. So after I rounded it up, I decided to accidentally grease a bowl. I wasn't supposed to grease it yet, but I did. Oops. So I greased the bowl, put the dough in there. I didn't have plastic wrap, so I just put it in some foil and I let it sit to rise up a bit. After I let it sit for about 20 minutes. While it was sitting, I took a glance at my yeast and I noticed that it was actually forming into the consistency that I actually need. So, oops, I must have read the packet wrong because, oh, I made 2, by the way, because I was so impatient with the first one. I think I just had to be patient and just let it sit for way longer than I should have. So next time I'll do better. So after letting it sit for about 20 minutes, it was actually much more fluffier. And I was like, okay, I'll knead it some more. So that's exactly what I did. Kneaded it for probably another 10 minutes. And then now was the right timing for me to actually grease the bowl and put it in and let it sit to rise for about an hour and a half. So boom, there we go. I deflated it. Was very happy that it did something because I thought it wasn't going to do anything. I weighed it because eventually I have to get into the habit of weighing my dough and making sure it's the correct amount of ounces so I could say the proper blessing on it. But I was too stressed, so I didn't even try to get the accurate weight. So I wanted to make 2 challahs, obviously. So I divided it into 2, made little round little balls, placed it on the scale to make sure they were somewhat even. Even this part was a bit difficult, but I did it, separated them both, put it in my lovely greased pan with some foil and let it sit for a few minutes before I attempted to do the next step, which was a mess. So here I am. I didn't have a rolling pin, so I decided to just kind of roll it by hand and try, sorry my braids are in the way, try to make 5 little sticks, 5 little rolls, but I ended up making 6, which really threw me off because I didn't know how to braid 6 strands. So here we are, I'm braiding, I'm getting into the attempt, and I'm sorry, this kind of took me all day to record and to make challah. So it's getting darker. Sorry, I didn't want to turn on the light. So I'm trying to figure out how I even attempted to do this. It started to look nice. It started to look nice in the beginning, and then it kind of took a turn towards the end. I think I might have I don't know what I did there. But I'm attempting to braid it, and it doesn't look so bad. It doesn't look so bad. It looks a little crazy on the edges, you can see there, and this is where you see some pieces. Because I didn't roll all the air out from the dough, some pieces were not even and not flat enough, but it looks okay. It looks okay. So I'm braiding, and then I kind of pinched the ends, and then voila. I was actually pretty happy with this. After I was done braiding, I added some egg wash and some sesame seeds, popped this baby in the oven for about 30 minutes, and voila, this is the end result. Okay, it came out better than I thought. I'm just worried about my looks right now. Taste is next level, but I think I did a decent job with at least getting it to look like challah. Not too bad, guys, not too bad.
I have some powder on my face. Take that off. Baking challah is way harder than I thought. I think it's just hard because this is just the first time of me doing it, and I really didn't follow instructions and I wasn't really fully prepared. But I worked with what I had, and now that I understand the foundation of it, I think next Shabbat my challah will be not perfect. I'm gonna have to do this a few more times before I get it down pat. But this was definitely an experience. it's gonna take me some time. Baking bread is no joke. So if you guys liked me messing up in the kitchen, I'll make more videos of me in the kitchen making some traditional Jewish dishes, especially for the holidays in a few months, and making some everyday lovely Shabbat classics. And who knows, maybe I'll do a video of how I prep for Shabbat soon though. Let's just get the challah right. So if you guys like my content, just give this video a thumbs up. And if you're searching for a spiritual coach, you could go ahead and book a one-on-one meeting with me down below. Thank you guys so much for your support and time, and I'll see you in my next video. Shabbat Shalom.